confidence comes from repetition. It's one thing to hear or see or learn how to do something. It's a whole nother thing to do it every single day.
It's Greg Harrelson here, of course, with the Level Up podcast, and I've got a great friend and a guest, a Level Up podcast guest to share with you today. His name is Adam Oberski. Adam is from Metro Detroit. I will say, I'm going to say a little bit more about Adam, about this guest, than maybe I say about some of the other guests, and has a lot to do with the background, the longevity of our friendship, as well as our business relationship. But, Adam runs a great Century 21 operation up in the Metro Detroit area. I think there's 4 offices, high per person production, lots of mega producers that he's helped develop and whatnot. And I say those things because all of those things matter to me. I think Adam enjoys developing talent like I do, providing a lot of resources to the team, to the firm, et cetera. But we also kind of believe in the same philosophies of lead generation and, mindset, which we're going to get into a little bit today. So I just wanted to, to share my friend with you all, the audience here at Level Up Podcast, and we're just going to have a chat together. We'll probably forget that anyone's even listening to this. We're just going to have a chat, and we'll see what comes out of this. So, Adam, my friend, thank you so much for joining me.
Of course, good to be with you, Greg.
Yeah, so let's and I'm going to be with you in a couple weeks. I think I'm going to be heading up there and checking you out, and we'll be doing a lot of masterminding together. So I'm looking forward to that.
Me too.
I wish I could go to the baseball game with you guys, but I have something that day before that I'm just not going to be able to make it.
I admire you for that. Is it a kids' tennis event or something?
It's exactly what's going on. Yeah, it's a kids thing. If it was a business thing, I'd probably go to the baseball game. But if it's a family thing, I'm sticking with it. So, Adam, I got all kinds of things I want to talk about. Just a lot of things on my mind, and one is mindset. But, with you, there's so many directions that we can go. But, you said something a moment ago, right before I hit the record button, and you said, this is a doer's market. Yeah. And I wrote it down on my notes. If you see me doing this, I'm not checking my phone. I've got my journal right in front of me, and I'm making notes. This is a doer's market. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, if you look at, we were talking before you hit record, and there's no doubt that if there's any market that's up from a unit standpoint, there's very few, if any.
Yeah.
Most markets are seeing double-digit declines in units year over year. And what's interesting is there's always the 80-20 rule, where 20% of the agents are doing 80% of the business. And right now, if you look at the economics or any of the numbers out there in the industry, it's the top 5% doing 95% of the business. And some might even argue that it's more severe than that. Yeah. And, I've said that in my opinion, and what I've observed through my career, is that the last 3 years since COVID, 2020 was probably the worst years to get into this business. Yeah. And the reason I say that is because it was very easy to get in the way of transactions and make money as a new agent over these last 3 years, because as a buyer, it was, I got to be the highest bidder. Mm-hmm. As a seller, we had to put the price somewhere on the board, and we may even get multiple offers in most cases. So there wasn't a lot of salesmanship or art of the deal or skill set that went into those transactions. Yeah. And the agents that were in the business prior to that, or the agents that learned the skill sets, the mindset, the activities over these last 3 years, they are thriving at a higher level. The pie is smaller, but they're getting a larger portion of that pie.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally see that. One of the notes that I just wrote is like, what I'm seeing is going back to what you're saying, that this in the hot market is typically the worst time to get into real estate.
Yeah.
Now it defies logic, right? Like everyone's buying, let's get in right now. And that's exactly why everyone gets in. And the number of licensees goes through the roof, right? Because there's a perception of easy money. Quite frankly, a lot of times there is easy money at those really sizzling hot markets. The challenge is when the money comes easy, one of the things that we don't do is we don't work hard on learning and educating ourselves. So now that the market is different, what I'm seeing is there's a lack of confidence within the agents as to how to navigate this next market. Is that kind of what you're saying? It's like they didn't get the knowledge, so they're lacking experience and knowledge, and that shows up in a lack of confidence. And if you lack confidence, then you're probably not going to be a doer because you don't know what to do. That's kind of what I'm taking away from what you said.
Yeah, that's 100% it. I mean, it's top agents recognize that in this market, they have to do everything they're doing at a higher level. They have to have the tough conversations. You know, I always say, and I was taught this, it's R&D. If you look at the life cycle of a transaction, you have your introduction and you have your closing. And top agents in this market, they're having the tough conversations at introduction, at time of contract with the agent. They're being the doctor versus, going into the doctor's office and telling the doctor what's wrong with you and telling the doctor how to remedy the situation. Top agents are going in, they're explaining the market, they're explaining what the best path forward and strategy is for a client versus going in, being excited about a transaction, taking it at whatever price the client wants, following their marketing strategy, not having any tactics, or, we're just doing whatever we can to get the listing. And then the tough conversation comes down the road when they see their neighbor's house go on the market, get multiple offers and sells, and you didn't future pace them and weren't able to deploy a skill set that you were trained with to have that tough conversation initially. A tough conversation, the earlier you have a tough conversation, the better the conversations are going to be on the back end of a transaction every single time.
Yeah. So we're not going to avoid them, are we?
No, it's part of the process.
It's part of the process, especially in this market. And, even the last market, though, the hot market, is we got them 5,000 over full price. And we had a tough conversation because they were wondering why it wasn't at 40,000 over full price. So the tough conversation always exists. And your coaching is, hey, let's get it out of the way early.
Correct. And really, if you could translate it to say that, I wrote down that the easier the market is to transact in, the lower the level of service is by the agent set. And the tougher the market is, the higher the level of services that the successful agents are providing in that market, because they know how to get deals to the closing table and provide an unbelievable experience for the client.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I want to stay on this, but and then kind of like transition a little bit into mindset, because I think that there's a correlation here. So I think how to sell real estate is pretty much already out there. Like there's not a lot of hows, like how to work an expired, how to do a listing presentation. I think the how, the information, the answers to about every how in real estate exist, right?
Many different ways. Yeah.
What was that?
In many different ways. That's right.
Yeah, in many different ways. And you said this is a doer's market. Like the doers are going to thrive. So from a mindset standpoint, if all the information, the hows already are there, have already been answered, and every agent has access to that, and we know it's a doer's market, what needs to shift from a mindset standpoint for those that are not taking action to get into action? I mean, is there fears here? Because I'm making the assumption that no one can say, I don't know how, because that can be answered on Google pretty quickly. I mean, we could go and see, I see some of your social media, your I don't know what they're called, reels or whatnot, or shorts that you do. You don't, yeah, you do something. I've seen some like videos and whatnot. You got great content.
I'm the character. I'm not the creator.
There, okay. I get it. I like that. That fits into the how already exists.
Correct.
Right? Whether it's me, you, or other people out there, we've answered the hows. What's going on? What needs to shift mentally in your mind? Or maybe even think of it from your own agents and your team, your brokerage. You know, what do you and I need to be telling our agents to help them break through?
Yeah, I think that I think that confidence, this is I think an ongoing conversation in our industry. And I think I think if you and I can solve this, in an hour, we'd be, in a whole different place. But, I don't, for the record, I do not think this is something that ever goes away. It doesn't go away for you and I. I know that for a fact because we're good friends. It's something that we attack and think about every single day. You have to. And I think part of the challenge is that if people aren't trained, then confidence comes from repetition. And it's one thing to hear or see or learn how to do something. It's a whole nother thing to do it every single day. And if you do something every single day for some people say 21 days or 30 days or 90 days, whatever it may be, inevitably, your confidence is going to go up. I think part of the challenge is, Greg, people, they think it's a fast dollar in real estate, and it's the complete opposite. I mean, to have staying power here, I always say, real estate professionals they have alligator skin. They are some of the toughest entrepreneurs on the planet because it is complex. And, I think that to be able to have the mindset and the confidence and, I think people have to go out there and they have to find what they're committed to and not interested in. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges that people have is, especially with social media today, is they see an image or they see a facade out there, or they see it one of their colleagues, Greg, that they're hard on themselves because of what they're seeing that's out there. And I think people need to get real honest with themselves about what they're committed to in their life, even their profession, personal, everything, and put a plan together to attack that and be truthful to yourself, because, success is different for everybody. And if you can start identifying and thinking about, what I don't love the whole why concept, but if you can truly think about what you're committed to and the life you want to live, you will get real excited. You will be very excited to get out of bed, to attack your business, to attack the revenue generating activity, and go try to get close to that thing you want. I do something, and we do this every quarter, and just to show you. So I hand out index cards, and on one side, it's who I want to be personally and professionally. And on the other side, it's who I want to be professionally. And I take that out every day and I put it on my nightstand. And so I see it in the morning, I see it at nighttime, and it's just a little reminder. But, I was taught that by a mentor of mine when I started my career. And I think it's little things like that, man. It is a nonstop pursuit to keep your mindset in a place to wake up early, or, to go out and perform every single day. So long-winded answer, but there's a lot.
No. Well, you know what? One of the things that I was always concerned, and I even voiced the concern with you before we started the podcast, was, I want to keep it simple. I don't want to get too technical about mindset. And I thought that was a simple way to explain it. A couple things here. I had written down like scripts equal confidence. And you said confidence. So I would say, and I think you would agree that confidence is a mindset. It's a state of mind. And what we may need to consider is like, learn your listing presentation to the next level. Why? Because you'll have more confidence. Learn your scripts to the next level. Why? Because you'll have more confidence. Learn how to handle, I don't want to sell right now because I currently have 3% and I don't want to go to 7% on my next purchase. Learn how to have a dialogue around that. Why? Because you'll have more confidence when all this stuff comes up. And when you have more confidence, then you have a stronger willingness to take action. If you increase your confidence, you will increase your willingness to take action. And to me, that's all mindset. So like, go out there and learn all these hows, learn all these things that maybe we've half learned, learn them to the next level, improve your confidence. Now, I love what you're talking about here. As a matter of fact, I have an event coming up in my office September 18th for business planning. And I might use that index card. I just had a vision of like having index cards for everybody that's in the session. So yeah. I wrote that down. So but when I'm clear on who I want to be professionally and personally, that's also given me confidence. At least that's what I'm feeling when I even think about this.
Motivation.
Yeah. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's funny. I was having a coaching session with some of our new agents earlier today, actually, and that was one of the things is that they'll set everything up and they'll be ready to go, and they're going to call their database, they're going to call past clients or just listed or whatever it may be. They're going to do their revenue generating activity, but there's this one thing pulling them. There's this one thing that's making them hesitate. And there was an individual in the room, a gentleman in the room who, I think he's been with us for a year and a half. And he goes, you know what? I go around the room and I ask, what's working for you right now? What's the challenge? And he said, what's working for me right now? Confidence. And that was everybody's reaction. Ooh, tell me more. And he said, I'm realizing I can do it. I'm realizing I can always do it. And I said, what changed? Like, I need more there. What changed? And he said, people are listening to me. They're trusting me. They're listening to me. And how did they start to do this? He goes, I finally started, we can say diagnosing, going back to the doctor concept. I mean, he said, I finally started deploying what I've been taught. Finally have had the confidence to, and I think that once people go through a breakthrough, once they get a taste, Greg, of that, like, oh, wow, I can do this, then the snowball grows pretty quickly.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I wrote down practice leads to confidence. Confidence creates authority. And authority gets results. So with your guy, which is fantastic, I love that that little story there, because he has confidence, and once he gained confidence, people started listening to him as if he's an authority, and then he gets results.
Part of that too is the biggest part of our job is that we have to become the best listeners that we can be, and to be able to listen, we have to ask questions to understand people's motivation and what the emotional attachment is to whatever their desired real estate need is. And we need to be able to, if you don't know the scripts, I always tell people, listen, learn all the scripts, because that's just putting the ammunition in the chamber for you, so that any conversation you're in, you're going to naturally and confidently know what question is coming next. And you're literally just going through a journey with every single prospect that you have And by having those questions internalized, it's not going to be every single exactly verbatim what the script says, but I'm going to be able to draw out of you what your motivation is and direct you towards that desired outcome. And that's when confidence really shines, is when you can feel like, wow, this is really going somewhere. You're able to direct that client where you want them to go.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no doubt. I mean, once you get a taste of it, it's like, oh, I want more of that. Right. I want more of that. And I think, one thing that you and I have to be careful of and when we're communicating about learning scripts and presentations is sometimes I think people hear us say, you all need to learn all this and memorize this because, being a robot is going to make you really good. And we're not telling people to learn scripts to be robotic. Matter of fact, I say memorize them, internalize them, and then personalize them all you want. But you just need them. You need them. You need a basic foundation of scripts and dialogues. And then you'll notice that the conversation will just naturally flow.
Right. Right. And, it's something else that we talk a lot about is, you and I's job or any broker owner or team leader's job is I always tell people that I try to eliminate the 6 months of internship that a new realtor goes through when they get into this business, because all they know is what's on TV. And they get into this business and they realize, holy smokes, this is not, Bravo and all glitz and glam. It is hard work. And learning personality styles and all the other things. And I think that the more exposure that people also get is another key part of it. The people that you're around is, when it comes to mindset, is incredibly important as well.
Yeah. Yeah, your environment, right? Who you hang out with, what you're exposed to constantly, not only who you're around, what are you listening to?
Right.
Are you listening to, I remember years and years ago, it's been a long time. My wife used to love watching Law and Order. And it was always like, I'm kind of an early to bed. And so, she'd be watching it. And one time I just said, I cannot be going to sleep to Law and Order, because all this crime and all this stuff was in my head. And these were like bad crimes that I just did not want to actually have to be my last message in my mind. Right. But I think what we're exposed to. So when, I think one of the things that I'm thinking about with my agents is exposure and, knowing that there's a lot of negativity in just, especially in news, there's just a lot of negativity all over social media. So I'm just being a little bit more intentional at making sure that I'm counterbalancing all of the stuff that they're being exposed to. I'm making sure that I'm part of their counterbalance program, whether they not like it or not, by just totally immersing them in more positive learning, kind of thriving type conversations. I think it's very needed, because I think it's influencing everyone's mindset in a negative way. So I got to counteract that at some level.
It really is. A lot of the headlines, that are out there today. And, I'll talk to an agent at another brokerage or another broker even, and I'll just have a doom and gloom story. And, or they'll be talking about the latest headline that was out there and, what are my thoughts on it? And, at the end of the day, a lot of this really doesn't have a whole lot of impact on me or my personal business. Yeah. I was always taught that, what other people are doing or saying isn't my business. And I just, try to live that way. But, Greg, again, I was with one of my mentors last week and he was talking about his mindset and how he stays focused, taking this back to, our mindset conversation. And he said, he's getting up every day and doing his gratitudes and, going for his walk and listening to something positive first thing, and the other thing I think people need to understand is too often I see people comparing themselves to people that it's an unrealistic comparison. And what I mean by that is, the single parents, for example, some of the most incredible entrepreneurs I've ever met are managing a family at home, are managing a huge real estate business. They're an incredible parent. And I look at those people and that helps my mindset. That motivates the heck out of me because, I have an amazing wife. I have amazing parents, in-laws that can help me. And this person's making it happen on their own at a very high level. I think that people need to be, they need to, when they're judging themselves, they need to be very careful on the comparisons that they're making and give themselves some grace as well.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. I think, and I feel like you've kind of touched on that a few times in just different conversations that we've had today. And so I'm hearing your message, and like we got to be like, maybe we need to stop comparing ourselves to that top producer or that person that looks like they're a top producer, and start like more comparing ourselves to where we are and where we want to be and what actions we need to take. And just let's look outward a little less and let's start looking inward a little bit more. I mean, that's kind of what's resonating with me through your message, Adam.
I had a conversation the other day with, I did a session the other day about mindset. And one of the things I talk to everybody about is, if 5 years ago you put yourself where you are today, okay, and you and I could go through a bunch of the memories we have together and we'd probably both say, heck yeah. If you looked at yourself, you go back 5 years and you said, hey, Greg, this is what you've accomplished and this is who you're going to be 5 years from now. How would you feel about yourself? You'd probably pat yourself on the back and say, job well done, man. Personally, professionally, all the above, for your family, everything. And I've seen you and I've admired it. And I think about that. And because often we'll be thinking like, oh, I should be doing this. I should be here.
Yeah.
Great.
What we didn't accomplish. Well, I didn't do that and I didn't do that. Well, sometimes we just need to, hey, can we just stop and like ask the question, what went right?
Yes.
Instead of what went wrong.
I think a lot of times you'll really inspire yourself or, be very pleased with the outcome.
That's awesome. That's a good one. I like that. So before we kind of go off, again, you and I, we definitely talk about being committed. We are very committed to bringing people into our teams, our brokerages, whatever we want to call them. Everyone calls them something different.
It's a broker.
Yeah. And then we pour into them coaching, resources, and whatnot. So, as we know, the market is shifting a little bit. I'm not declaring a crash or nothing. I'm not even giving an opinion on that. It's just, it's different than it has been in the last couple of years. What are one or two things that you feel that you need to kind of like share with your agents over the next couple of months? Just whether it be coaching or just like if you're thinking about some of the coaching calls that you're going to have coming up, because I know you do a ton of coaching. Or maybe I think you have a business planning thing on September 21st, or it's somewhere around there. I think it's 21st.
Yeah, we do it right at the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Yeah. So what are some of the things, what are some of the points in your mind that, okay, I got to hit this one. I got to share this one.
I don't want to give too much away for
yes.
business plan is going to be,
but just a little bit more big, a broader look. Yeah. Not details on what you're actually doing, but what should we, other team leaders that are listening to this, what should we be focusing on when it comes to, conversations with our agents right now?
Cut all the fat. I think that a mentor of mine calls it prioritize until it's painful, and write down the top 10 things that are most important to you right now to accomplish. And then take it down to 2 and throw out the other 8. And and spend some time thinking about it and only do those things, because the rate at which we were transacting 12 months ago in 2022, we could tinker. And right now you can't tinker. We need to be all gas into what is working for ourselves professionally and personally, and eliminate everything else for 6 months. Reassess next year, because I think next year is going to be a great year for us.
Dude, I'm doing that. I am going to write down 10 things that I think I need to accomplish, or maybe 10 things that I'm already 10 things I'm already juggling.
You're going to be stopping a lot of things, Greg.
I know, but because you said one of your rules was you got to get rid of the other 8. And it's like, oh gosh. And then I'm thinking, as I'm like, I narrowing it down to 2 seems a lot easier than eliminating the 8.
But here's the thing.
I got to cut that off.
Think about this though. So I went through this exercise a couple of weeks ago, and the thing is, the results I'm getting from the 2 most important now are 2x. They're so much greater than what I was doing, because I was focused in so many different areas. And if I'm being honest, I probably even need to do it again, because you'll have other things come into those 2 priorities that you're working on. So it's amazing the results that you'll see from prioritizing like that.
Yeah. And so that doesn't matter if you're an owner of companies like us or if you're the real estate agent.
Correct.
This applies to everyone. That is fantastic. Well, good. Well, Adam, I do appreciate the conversation as always. I thought about mindset and just kind of where agents, the state of mind of agents in general. And, I reached out to you and a few others immediately, all in the same hour, because you're one of the guys that I thought of, on this particular subject. So I appreciate you being here for me. But let's tell everybody a little bit more about you. So you're Metro Detroit. You said 4 offices. So where are your 4 offices? I've never been to Detroit. I will be in a couple weeks, so I'm excited about that. But where one's Dearborn Heights. I do know that because Abe talks about going up there all the time.
Yeah.
So where else are you within Metro Detroit?
We have 2 offices. The original offices we had are Dearborn Heights. We have Northville, Michigan, and we have Royal Oak, Michigan. And between all 4 of those locations, we have about 300 real estate professionals.
Man,
Yep.
That's fantastic. And so does that cover that? That's a pretty broad map of coverage. Is that correct?
Yeah, we track all of our transactions every year, and we run pretty much everywhere in and around Metro Detroit and into Detroit. We do transactions. I think it was over 120 different cities throughout Metro Detroit, just south of 3,000 transactions.
Right. And the company name Century 21. I always say it's a Century 21 Oberski, but the technical name would be
Century 21 Curran Oberski.
Curran Oberski. Okay, Curran's still there. There.
Bob and I talk every single day. I'm lucky to have him on my shoulder to talk to every single day and get his consult. So
he's an amazing man with lots of great wisdom. There's no doubt about that. And if somebody wanted to reach out to you, maybe they're looking for a company that provides coaching and resources like you do, what would be a great way to just kind of get to you pretty quickly, or get to somebody and to gather some more information about what you offer?
You can find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, everything. My cell phone's all over my profile, so cell phone is best. Or you can shoot me an email. It's adam@c21curranoberski.com.
Yeah. And I don't know that I've ever said this on a podcast, and this is no disrespect to any of my other guests on a podcast, but if you, I'm just going to answer this question. Greg, would you ever recommend I work with Adam? You better, is my answer.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I mean it, Adam. I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks, buddy. And thank you so much for being a guest on the Level Up podcast. You know how to reach him. If there's anything, if you're thinking about doing something, touch base with him and check in. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.